Shakir is on track. Yeah, Shakir just damaged the lap for someone. Jesus.
Alright guys, final minute for GT3. Final minute for GT3. LMDH, you can prepare. We spoke with the driver Kyle. He won't be driving until the 6-minute mark. So he loses 4 minutes due to his outlap and first flying lap. Good luck again, guys. Have fun. Alright, LMDH, you have access to the track. Please go out. Please go out. GT3s, finish up your lap and then head back to pits, please. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another round at the Le Mans Ultimate platform. Round 4 of our Sprint Saturday series. Still getting used to it. We have a few drivers out here tonight. We have a sprint qualifying session going on as we speak. As we have cars out and about doing their laps right now, trying to see where they can place themselves here this evening. For the GT3 class, we have Matty Titus leading with Ricardo Swaby, Rich Dial, Diego Sebastian Rodriguez in P6. Santamaria in P5. Vincent Da Silva and Kurt Moss did not qualify this evening, so I believe that they're just trying to maybe even just setting up their systems for tonight's race. But right now, Jaden Harrison out there in provisional pole with a 1 minute 50.014, followed by Mr. Ian Lance in P2. Followed by Omar Escorcio in P3. Diego Cineros, I haven't seen him go out as yet, has he? Let's double check. Yes, he is out there on track, hasn't set a lap as yet, but will be in the next few moments. Daniel Velez still in the pits, still yet to start his flying laps. Maybe he was late to practice, so maybe trying to learn a little bit from these drivers. From practice, the fastest time was a 1:46.89 by Mr. Lance there. A 100th off was Omar Escorcio. That was from the practice session. Let's see what can come from the qualifying session here as these drivers prepare. Right now, Ian Lance looking rapid. Purple sector 1, purple sector 2. heads around to finish his first official lap with a 146 point. My apologies, 147.127. Omar Scorser right behind him, a 10th off, 147.211. Jaden Harrison right behind them with a 147.680. 5/10 off the whole lap. Diego Sonero still has some work to do, as well as Carroll, who should be out on the track right now, or heading out sooner than later. Right along board now with the Colombian in Omar Escorcio. Happy to have him here. Sets a purple sector 1, 4/10 up. So maybe a little bit of sandbagging there in the first parts of practice, but still a little bit ways off of his original time, 146. Is the aim. We'll see if any of the drivers can make it in the 145s. Right now, Omar about 5/10 up, 4/10 up in sector 1. Does go green in sector 2 as well, so is looking rapid here as he heads through the final sector. The track temperatures are 22 degrees. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon here in Sebring. So we are getting into 146s as Mr. Omar comes around the final corner. Drag race to the start-finish line. Is in P3 at the moment. Jaden Harrison is in the lead with a 146.466. Purple sector 2 and 3 goes to Jaden Harrison, who takes pole position, a 10th up on himself, on Mr. Escorcia, as well as Mr. Ian Lance there in P3 now. That Peugeot looking very rapid. That's right along the board. 3 minutes remaining. Jaden Harrison. The fuel rate is set to 2 times 2x with his rates, so we will be looking forward to seeing what can come in the next few moments. But Jaden Harrison there again. Purple sector 1, and enough for the 145s. Will this be the first 45 for the evening? Hopefully that's not the commentator's curse at its best, but Jaden Harrison looking like he wants to put a stamp of approval here this evening. Omar a 10th off. Ian Lance a 10th off. This is going to be a fight here. Jaden Harrison, purple sector 2, a 10th up in sector 2, 5/10 up in sector 1. 6/10 as a matter of fact. As he heads down that very long, well, short for these cars, backstretch. Heading into the final corner now. One of the bumpiest sections of the track, if I do say so myself. There goes Jaden Harrison to cross the line with a 145.742. Did not improve in the final sector, so still has time to improve. Omar pulls off as well. Ian Lance, the only one left to try and see if he can improve on his time in front. Daniel Velez as well is out now. Right along board now with Ian Lance. He's 9/10 off of pole position right now. 146.64 Ian Lance, 146.4 for Omar Escorcia, 145.742, almost a second clear of his competitors. 148 for Carol Aiton in P4, Diego Soneros in P5 with a 149.899. Daniel Velez sits in P6 with a 151.410. Still learning the track though. He is a rapid driver. He says he's good with the GT3s. Around here at the Sebring Raceway, but still it's a completely different ball game when you jump into these LMH cars. So he does improve in sector 2, but sector 1 not entirely rapid here, so still has some work to do. is Ian Lance. Will he have enough fuel for one more run here? Time will tell. But Jaden and Omar have entered into the pits. Looks like they have retired. They think their times are safe here this evening. Carroll does improve to a 147.267. So his time is going down, further down. As Ian now comes across the line. 146.577 is still not enough to improve. But that does improve his time, but not his position. And that is Carroll heading into the pits, looking like he is finishing up his run here this evening. Daniel Velez does move up into P5 here with a 149.545. We'll watch what he can do for this lap, because he has been one that will throw a little bit of doozy here, especially in the last races that we've had. So definitely one not to give up on. Sector 1. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the end of this qualifying session. And that puts Mr. Jaden Harrison in pole position here. As we prepare for the racing, Jaden Harrison starts on pole position in P1, Omar Escorce in P2, Ian Lance in P3, Carol Aiton in P4, Daniel Velez in P5, and Diego Cineros rallies the troops in that Porsche in P6. Matthew Titus leads the GT3 class in that BMW. Ricardo Sway in P2, Rich Dial in P3, Joel Santamara in P4, Sebastian Rodriguez in P5, Kurt Massive in P6. We have Daniel, my apologies, I believe it's, no, well, Nicholas won't be racing here this evening, but Vince will be racing with us. So we prepare to go racing as we have Jaden Harrison leading the troops here. Looking forward to seeing the battles that are to come in the next few moments, ladies and gentlemen, as we prepare to go racing here at the Sebring Raceway for round 4 of our Saturday Sprint Series. As the drivers are lining up on the grid. We have 14 drivers out there. Again, Nicholas won't be racing with us this evening, unfortunately, but we'll be back as we look forward to seeing what he can do in his debut here at the JSRA. And quite looking forward to seeing it as well. We are looking to grow the series as much as possible, so the more the merrier.
Formation lap has started.
And the formation lap now begins. And what a qualifying session that was to start this race. As we have Jaden leading the pack here from Omar Escorcio. Ian Lance, one not to give up on, not to look down on. He has been rapid. He's been the one having quite a few battles here with Jaden every race. So they go neck and neck. So looking forward to seeing what they can do here. Omar, this is his second race. The first race, unfortunately, he couldn't finish off in because of some technical issues. But he was on the top, on the podium at the beginning of that race. So we go green light racing in a moment's time. Ladies and gentlemen, get ready. And there they go. Jaden immediately goes to close off that line from Omar Escorcio. My apologies, Ian there just looking on the inside to see if he can send a late move. Doesn't look like it's enough to get clear, but there he goes, almost side by side, moves up into P2 is Mr. Lance there. Omar is relegated down by one position, so that is one move saved for Jaden Harrison, one move lost by Omar Escorcio. And guess who as well? Mr. Velez there has gained 2 positions in the space of 3 corners. So there goes Daniel Velez trying to lead the pack in front of Mr. Aiton and Mr. Cineros. So this is 2 races here starting, and we'll continue to ride along board to see what can happen here. But Omar has lost out a position. He was rapid in qualifying, will not give that up too quickly, but the 2 in front of him have been leading this charge from the beginning of the series to now, missing out one of our favorites in Raven Plummer, who isn't feeling too well. So wishing her a speedy recovery. She would have been an integral part to this race here, and especially with the LMH cars. So we are seeing growth. Last week we had 13 drivers, 14 this week, and unfortunately 1 and 2 were missing because of other arrangements that they have. But yeah, that being said, we'll continue to look to the future to see what can come, especially with this new update with the LMU racing, as the and as we've been talking, there's been some actions here with the GT3. Kurt Moss, who did start out in the last position, has made his way up to P2, and he looks like he's trying to see if he can find his way up to catch back up to the likes of Mr. Matthew Titus in the lead right now. Doesn't have Mission Wallace. Yet Mission has found himself in the mix for the past few races. So we'll definitely see what can come in this battle, as Rich Dyer there just looks and looks and looks. I had a funny interaction there with Rich, as he's now being hunted by Ricardo Swaby. I've been calling Rich the Australian sprint debut. Apparently he comes from Cayman Islands, so you can tell who's struggling in geography in high school. With that being said, happy to have him here, the Cayman driver. Now leading in P3, final podium positions for the GT3 class. Looking forward to seeing what he can do here to keep away from the likes of the drivers behind. Vincent Da Silva, we've seen him in the past make his way through the field. Didn't get a qualifying session, didn't get a practice session. Hunts down the likes of his countryman Joel Santamario. I'm sure we'll be hoping for a quick pass between him to see how far he can get up the road, how quickly he can get up the road. Kurt Moss now 6/10 off of the likes of Mr. Titus in front of him, so we'll definitely watch to see what can happen there. While we've been talking, my apologies, in the hypercars, Ian has lost out to Amar from P3 now down to P2, P2 now down to P3, so got a brilliant start against the Colombian, but clearly getting the advantage to the Colombian driver in front, as well as Mr. Carril there. So 2 Cayman drivers hunting down the likes of the Colombians. And there goes Carril on the inside, not close enough though. I did see an opportunity, but not close enough to make that move stick, unfortunately for him. Matthew Titus, however, has dropped down all the way down to P7, my apologies. So it looks like there was an incident for him. Kurt Moss moves up into P1. Rich Dye, the Cayman driver, in P2. Ricardo Swaby right now on the podium, 8/10 off of the likes of the Cayman driver in front of him. My apologies, no, 5/10. So he will be hunting him down as the racing continues. But while we go through that, the battle is still on between these two, Daniel Velez and Carol Aiton, and these two are the drivers that we'll be watching for as they are going tooth and nail. Carol not giving an inch to the Colombian driver in front of him, looking to see where he can make that move and pounce on the my apologies, there he goes around the likes of that Toyota Gazoo Racing hypercar, and Carol now moves up into P4. That will be a move done, but Daniel Velez won't give it up too soon as he sits in the slipstream there, 5/10 between himself and Mr. Aiton in front of him. Matthew Titus looks like he had to go into the pits now. He's about a minute off of the likes of Sebastian in front of him, so it looks like there may have been an incident there. DNF for Matthew, and I'm sure we'll hear about that or look back at it in a moment's time when we get a chance to. Unfortunately for him, there was leading this race, now sits in the pits in the DNF portion. He did join the rally racing yesterday, and it was quite an event, if I do say so myself. It was fun to watch. Unfortunate to see him and his early retirement here this evening. But with that being said, Ricardo Swaby now looking at his best finish here. But he and Rich have found themselves in quite a few battles here since the starting of this sprint series. So the fight for P2 and P3 is now on. Vincent Da Silva sitting right there behind, waiting on his moment to catch back up and see if he can gain on the podium in front. 2 seconds is the gap between himself and Ricardo. Continue to watch the gaps as 6/10 is the gap between these two. As I speak of that, we'll continue to monitor the gap between Ian and Omar, because that gap has just been steady for the majority. The fuel is set to 2x, so we are hoping it will force some pit stops. So no, there aren't. Oh, good time for me to answer. But yeah, there are no mandatory pit stops, but there is a high fuel usage for the 45-minute sprint. So it is highly likely that the drivers will end up having to head to the pits at some point, and that should throw a little bit of drama here. This is the first time trying the 2x, so looking forward to seeing what that can do while we watch this battle continue. Vincent Da Silva has joined the party, the Panamanian rapid here in that Corvette. We've seen him come back from the back in so many occasions. Sure is looking forward to seeing and tasting the top step of the podium, or at least second or third, as he sees the two battling in front of him. As we take a look at one of our favorite views right now, you're going to see the bumps there here at the Sebring Raceway. They're getting a perfect POV from Mr. Da Silva here. This is what you love to see from him, very strategic. As he now sits in the rear view of the Jamaican, backs off early. best view of this race is for Mr. De Silva here, enjoying the battle in front of him. Ricardo Swaby though, will this be his desperation zone to try and get a car in between himself and Rich Dow? Or will he just try to play possum here? Defend where he can defend. Ricardo Swaby just being driver in the middle. Rich immediately going defensive, goes around the final corner. Ricardo having to watch his rear views a lot while still trying to overtake the car in front. We've seen such progress from this driver. This does give some leeway to Mr. Massive though, getting away there in P1. Gap between the two. Vince looking on the inside, throws a dummy. Not enough to throw off Ricardo though. Ricardo knows how these games are being played, but there you see him using that curb. Not necessarily what you want to be doing here this evening. But when you have the hounding Chevrolet Corvette of the Panamanian racer in Vincent De Silva right behind you. And right behind them, you see them turning quickly into blue flags as Jaden Harrison pulls up, who has built up a 2-second gap to himself, and the cars behind him goes a long way around and looked very close there with him and Vincent. It goes flashing with Rich, and luckily gets through. Everybody gets out without any issues, but right behind them should be Amar and Mr. Lance there, as you see Leon Lance there flashing. Doesn't want to lose out because of the blue flag. Sticks right there in between. Overtakes the likes of Mr. Ricardo. Rich now goes wide, allows them to go through. And very well done by these drivers, if I do say so myself. Little bit of gap between them now. Driver in Kyril Aiton comes up now to come through, but he will get it at the best point. He should be overtaking on the straightaway. There he goes. Not much issues for him there. Rich Dad there will be watching his rear view because right behind him, Vincent now on the attack for Ricardo Swaby. Ricardo Swaby now looking, however, if he can make that move finally. Takes a look, but not close enough. Again, this is going to be very difficult for him. And Vince there. Ooh, is that Rich in the wall or in the grass? My apologies. Yes, it was. So Ricardo Swaby moves up now and just has the likes of Mr. De Silva there to worry about. Unfortunate for him there. Rich does get back on the track quickly enough though, so will he be able to hunt back down the likes of Ricardo and Vincent in front of him? Will Ricardo be able to hold up the likes of the Panamanian driver? Only time will tell. We have about 31 minutes remaining. Remember, it can be some fuel saving. Don't necessarily think it will help with especially how the fuel rate was burning earlier in the practice session. Hey, that being said, we take a look now. Daniel Velez has the most amount of fuel with 49% there. Everybody else between about 33 and 38. That's with the energy, my apologies. But Kurt Moss now, he has just extended his lead. He is quite comfortable, about 10 seconds in front of the likes of his drivers behind him. This is turning into a Sunday night stroll for him. A Saturday night stroll to say the least. But Vincent De Silva hunts down the likes of Ricardo Swaby. Rich Dyer now hunts down the likes of Mr. De Silva. While all of this is happening, Ian is losing a little bit of time there to Amar. Borderline about 8/10 to a second between himself and the Colombian. Right now, maybe just trying to keep that gap within a second. Maybe mount an attack later down. And Kurt Moss, my apologies, looking at the timing sheets, I looked down and away for a second. Kurt Moss is now 5 tenths behind Vincent Da Silva, so a little bit of commentator's curse there, I'm assuming. I blame that one on Raven Plumber though, as I looked in the chat, but that puts a battle on here for the GT3 class here this evening, because Kurt Moss now has some work to do to get back that advantage, but we've seen him with the pace. It's been quite fun to watch, if I do say so myself. Now it's a four-way battle for P1. Ricardo Swaby leads the pack for the GT3 class. Diego Sonero's bumping around now to overtake the GT3 class. Blue flags. And Vincent there, his countryman, almost took him out, but luckily the two did and got through very clear of each other. So right now, Ricardo Swaby leads from Vincent Da Silva from Kurt Moss. Kurt Moss in that BMW will be hunting down, but we know Vince is one of those defensive specialists. He's very clean, very strategic, and very calculated with his attacks. And there he goes. He knows that now is a moment where he needs to make a move, because Kurt Moss is right there on the backside of his Chevrolet Corvette. So right now, I'm sure, just trying to get his move around Ricardo, but Ricardo putting on a world of defense here at Sebring, was saying that this track was too bumpy for his liking, but clearly has found some pace here as he leads the pack for the GT3 class. Kurt Moss there, just taking a look on the inside. Just a heads up to the chat, we are actually not sure what had happened. We looked away for a second as well, and then we just saw Kurt Moss drop down the field, so we'll definitely check the replay for that when the racing kind of plateaus a little bit. Happened about at the 30-minute mark, so we'll definitely look back for that. Right now, Ricardo Swaby in the race of his life. Vincent Da Silva wants to put the boosters on and try and get in front of the Jamaican, but the Jamaican just putting that car exactly where it needs to be. Vince there throwing a little bit of a dummy. And going defensive. Goes for the switcheroo. Ricardo goes wide off the track, and that goes for Vincent Da Silva and Kurt Moss. Double overtake. 2 positions lost in 1 corner for Ricardo Swaby. A little bit of pressure there. Vince did kind of throw him off a little bit, in my opinion. But that being said, did very well and still in the mix for this hunt. So any incidents with these two will put him right back in contention. But right now, he is definitely in the hunt for the final podium step. But right now, Vince and Kurt Moss will be battling it out for the foreseeable future as Kurt Moss sits in the slipstream. It is possible. We've seen Kurt fall back for a challenge, but there's also times like in round 1 where I think he fell asleep during the race because of his dominance. And there he gets a better run there. Vince, will he go defensive? Will he have the time to go defensive? Kurt Moss there sits in the slipstream, almost pushing that Chevy through the corners, goes on the inside, takes a look, backs off early though. This is not his moment to make that move. No need to rush it, says the Jamaican. 2 tenths is the gap between them. Well, this battle has been going on as well though. The fight up in the hypercars has been dwindled to about 4 tenths of a second between Omar Escorcia and Mr. Ian Lance. There goes Kurt. Looks again on the inside. Still just throwing a dummy just to show you, hey, I am here. I can make a move if I'd like to. Ricardo Swaby there just sitting in the slipstream, watching, waiting, learning, seeing where he can make his move. 6 tenths is the gap between himself and Kurt Moss. Will he mount an attack on the likes of that BMW in front of him? While we watch and continue to watch this battle, we'll just take a quick look at Mr. Lance there, who is still sitting in the slipstream of Omar. This has been the battle between himself and Jaden for the past few weeks, but clearly found a new running mate here this evening. He's trying to make that move on the Colombian in front, being very patient, if I am being honest, as we've seen him do in the past. Jaden Harrison about 3.5 seconds up the road. Continue to watch and monitor this on the timing sheets, but as we continue to ride along, we'll just take a look around the field, see who is battling who right now. These are the only two battles going on though. Ricardo Swaby falling back by 2 seconds now to the likes of Kurt Moss. Still on the podium step, Rich Dial 8 seconds off of Ricardo. Joe Santamario 11 seconds off of Rich. Still some work to do here. Race is not over, ladies and gentlemen. They still do have a pit stop. Kurt Moss just sitting right there in the slipstream of Mr. De Silva. This is one of our favorite views. Ooh, and there's an incident there, ladies and gentlemen. The two make contact. Kurt is waiting on Mr. Da Silva. And that gives Ricardo right back. The top step of the podium. Or should have. Where's Ricardo? Oh, Ricardo is in the pits. So this is his moment, maybe for an undercut, as he heads down now for his... Oh, no, my apologies. Yes, this is Ricardo. My apologies. Yes. So Ricardo using this as his moment to get his pit stop out of the way. Well, definitely needed a pit stop. Vince as well goes into the pits. Kurt Moss was waiting. And that does put him on the back foot. So, we'll watch to see what can come from this in the next few moments, because this is a huge turnaround. Omar Escorza there as well sits in the pits as well to get some fuel out, ready to get racing again. Will that undercut work for him as well? Is that Jaden Harrison as well in the pits? Everybody just head to the pits at this point. Daniel Velez and Carroll being the only two out on track at the moment. I believe Carroll already did his pit stop, however. So, right, we'll watch to see, but Ricardo Swaby now comes out, first GT3 class out, and this looks like it could very well work in his favor as a huge undercut here. Will this be the strategy for Ricardo? As Rich Dyer now comes around, Kurt Moss as well should be pitting sooner than later. And where's Vincent Da Silva? Vince is now leaving the pits. Omar Escorza as well leaving the pits right in front of Jaden Harrison. So is this an undercut waiting to happen as well, as Jaden now falls back to P3? So much drama, so little time, because Ian Lance as well has made his way ahead of Jaden Harrison. So did Jaden add too much fuel here? We will find out, ladies and gentlemen, on this episode of Dragon Ball Z. But that being said, I'm so sorry for that joke. It was, I don't know where it came from. But anyways, Kurt Moss now heads into the pits, and that will force Rich Dyer as well to head. Ricardo Swaby, where does that put him as he comes around now? Sorry. getting all of the and this, ladies and gentlemen, is a dramatics now that will throw the field all throughout the course of this race. But Ricardo Swaby should be oof, and there he goes. It's a bit far off. Ian Lance there has to take a little bit of evasive action, but getting a request there to show the virtual energy. So right now, Omar has 79, Aeon went for 52, and Jaden with 76. Carol Aiton right behind at 73. With 20 minutes remaining, was that too much? But why did that cost Jaden 2 positions? But hey, guess what? We will find out again sooner than later. But right now, on pole position is Ricardo Swaby. Who is leading right now by about 7 seconds to the likes of Rich Dial, who sits in P2. Kurt Moss sits in P3, 2 seconds off of Rich, so he had 3 seconds off of Rich, so he has some work to do. My apologies. Just keep it going, as it's now about 7 seconds off as he exits the pits, right in front of Mr. Aiton. So we should be getting a better idea of where everybody is right now. But right now, Jaden is about 10 seconds behind Mr. Lance there. Mr. Lance about 1.3 seconds, 1.5 seconds behind Omar. And that gap is growing and growing and growing. What's happening there for Ian? Maybe went off track for a second there. But that throws his race off as a doozy as well. And right now, continuing to just watch the gaps as they're going down more and more. Oof. This is just... And yes, everyone has pitted. My apologies. Ian in P2 has also pitted. But with 17 minutes remaining, will that be enough fuel for him is a good question. With 2x. Maybe Jaden changed the tire? We didn't see it on the stream, so we'll find that out in a moment's time. Right now, his pace isn't reflecting. His gap was 9 seconds, now 8.5. So he will have some work to do here. Kurt Moss, that 7-second gap between himself and Rich has dwindled to 3.5 seconds. Vincent De Silva sits in P5, has some work to do to catch back up. He's right behind his countryman in Joel Santamario, P4. Right now, Ricardo Swaby will keep his name out of our mouth for now, as he is in his best finishing position here at the Jsra. Looking forward to seeing a victorious evening for him, but we hope we don't bring any commentators' curses for him. We've seen it in the past too many times. Ricardo Swaby leads the GT3 from the Cayman driver in Rich Dial. Kurt Moss there hunting down him for the P2 position. 3.5 seconds between himself. Joe Santamario is being hunted as well by his countryman Jaden Harrison. That 9-second gap has dwindled to about 7 seconds. Maybe he did go for tires. Maybe he is going for a funsies and trying to where he can gain that advantage. But 7.3 seconds is the gap between himself now and Ian Lance there. 4 tenths, 3 tenths. The gap between himself and Omar has dwindled. Back end getting a little bit loose there as they come out to the penultimate corner now on that straightaway. Hunts down the likes of Omar Scorsio in P1. Jaden, I'm sure, hoping that this battle will bear some fruit for him and bring him back in contention. But now he's under 7 seconds. 6.7 seconds is the gap between himself and the likes of his competitors in front. Will he be able to catch him up? This will be the battle that we wanted to see. Ricardo Swaby, though, has lost out. The commentator's curse wins again. Now 2 seconds out, but his roof is dented. Did he flip the car? And the car looks so unstable right now. It does not look drivable. And Joel Santamaria comes around now. Looks like he's going to try and get a position from him. What happened for the race leader and Ricardo Swaby, who now drops down to P4 and sooner than later P5 as Vincent Da Silva comes around to pass him. And oh my word, ladies and gentlemen, what a dramatic finish for him. What could have happened to Ricardo Swaby? But his roof is dented, so did he flip the car? Is the question. Kurt Moss now 1.3 seconds away from the top step of the podium. So he himself has found some pace here. We'll continue to watch and see where he can find himself. But right now, Amar and Ian Lance side by side as this battle is continuing now with the dying moments. Now we have about 13 minutes remaining. Side by side goes Ian Lance, pushes Amar through the corners. And this fight is going to put Ian Lance right there on the top step, but who will get the better run coming out now? And Ian goes defensive immediately, sits to the slipstream is Omar Escorcia as he tries now to catch back up and breaking the slipstream there. Jaden Harrison sitting right there in the foreground looking to see where he can catch back up. 4.2 seconds. He has found himself back into this mix because of this battle, and now Ian and Omar continue this battle for the foreseeable future as they head down now to start finish, and it's now going to go in advantage to Ian Lance. My apologies there, ladies and gentlemen, but this is the battle that we've been waiting for here. And guess what, ladies and gentlemen, Jaden Harrison, now you can see him in the background, it's now 2.3 seconds off, so that was not what these two would have wanted in these moments. Because now Jaden will be forcing a little bit of pressure there. And did he go for fresher tires? As a matter of fact, I think we can check that as well. No, we cannot. Just the tire compound. But right, that as we go on and say, the battle between Omar and Ian continue, because now Omar takes back pole position and Ian is relegated back to P2. This battle will continue and it will get even more intense as the likes of Jaden Harrison enters into the battlefield. Raven with the commentator's curse again. Let's see how that plays out with 12 minutes remaining. Who will be victorious, ladies and gentlemen? Put it in the chat. Ian hasn't given an inch to the Colombian driver in front of him. And while we've been watching this battle, Kurt Moss did take the lead from Rich Dial and extends that gap by about a second. There's so much action to watch. Raven, you should probably just join us in the commentator's booth next time. You're gonna miss it, so at least we can keep up. But that being said, Jaden Harrison now 7/10 off of the likes of Mr. Ian Lance there behind. As they go around Sebastian Rodriguez there. And a few more blue flags there. Getting in the way is Ricardo Swaby. There goes Jaden Harrison. Through goes Harrison, becoming a very popular saying here. And there he goes, P2 for Jaden. And now he has a Colombian in front of him. And Ian Lance there right behind, waiting for his moment to pounce as well. Lost out because of the blue flags, had to go off the track. Omar will be trying his best to hold off the charging Jamaican, who is running at about a second faster than these drivers in between. So he clearly did go for tires at this pace, because he is very much so looking rapid here. It looks on the outside. Omar immediately goes defensive though, causes him to have to back out of it. And now Jaden now will be hunted by Ian. Ricardo Swaby with a DNF here this evening, as well as Kyril Aiton. The two other DNFs, not sure what had happened there, not sure if they were in the platitude of the blue flags there that we just saw. Ian there, we did see him going a little bit swirly there, maybe losing out with the tires. Especially at a track like this, it would have been recommended to change tires. Is that Vincent da Silva in front of his countryman in Joel Santamara? Yes, it is. So Vincent now moves up into P3. And the battle is on. Jaden Harrison does have the lead for the moment's time, but the inside line is to Omar Escorcia. Omar holds off the Jamaican, and that puts Ian Lance right back in the battle for the top step. And now it's going to be a trio with under 10 minutes remaining. Ian gets the inside line. Ooh, that got close. And still, lucky enough, no contact. And these drivers will continue this battle now. 7/10 the gap between Ian and Jaden Harrison. But Jaden only a 10th off. Looks on the inside, looks on the outside. Goes on back on the outside. Huge lock up there for Omar. And that gives the right opportunity for Jaden to take that move. And that puts Ian now as well on the front foot to see if he can gain an advantage. And Omar now being hunted. Huge lock up there. Put him off of the racing line for and went deeper than he would have wanted. Ian there thought he got through, but not enough for him. Ooh, what a move there. Jaden, as Raven did predict, moves up into P1. Whew, wow. What a last few moments of this race. As now as now they go through the blue flags, and Jaden looking very clean hair, goes extremely wide. Omar on a different line here. But Jaden now will be trying to get away from these two. Jaden takes the lead. Omar in P2. And Ian Lance sits in P3. About a second off. Is he feeling the effects of the tires? And there goes Omar again off track. That will close the gap slowly for Mr. Lance there, who then again goes off the track. So I am definitely assuming they're feeling some effects of the tire wear here. What a battle this has been, ladies and gentlemen. Kurt Moss does lead by about 1.2 seconds, so hasn't pulled that gap too far away from Rich. And as Raven had called it, it looks like Ian did not put enough fuel here for his race, and that takes him out of contention here for that top or P1 or P2 spot as he heads into the pits for some fuel or for fuel stop. I believe he will come out in front of Diego. Diego about 90 seconds off of him. So it has a... Ooh, is that a DNF for... And that's a DNF for Mr. Lance there. Not sure what happened there. In the last 5 minutes. Dove into the pits and just let it go. Not sure what had happened. Unfortunate there. We did enjoy that battle as it went on. We're now in the final 5 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Jaden Harrison leads with a 2-second gap to Omar Escorcia. Jaden with an epic strategy here this evening. takes the win. Well, let me not say anything yet, but looking very promising for him now. What an absolutely epic battle this has been. So Ian has retired from this race. We've had a few retirements. Sad to see. Right now with 3 minutes remaining, 2-second gap. The gaps between the GT3s are being shown. Rich is about 2 seconds off of Kurt Moss. Vince is about 16 seconds off of Rich. There, who did have quite a fight there with Kurt Moss there for quite some time. Missing it unfortunately, but let's just take a quick look at these GT3s as they go around. Kurt Moss there in the BMW M4. Absolutely love that car. Rich Dial coming in for his best finish here at the Jsra. Made his debut here a few races ago. Getting funny moments with me mixing up his nationality there. And again, a huge apology to him and his family. I did say I deserve a couple lick for that one, but the Cayman driver there looking very well and confident. And there we have it. Untitled ran out of fuel. It was called by Raven. She did say that the 50% did look low, and that's what caused his DNF. Sorry to see the action go. That battle was absolutely epic. Now with 1 minute remaining, ladies and gentlemen, this is our LMU Sprint Series. Still has some work to do, but we're getting there. The battles are growing. Eon has not missed one battle all season long. Every race he finds himself in the top mix. Looking forward to seeing what we can do in the near future. As Raven says, that gap just extending more and more. Jaden Harrison just looking absolutely dominant here. 16 seconds to go. This will be his final lap. Jaden and Kurt Moss leading and winning. Raven did call it. I decided to leave that one up to her and you, the fans, so nobody could blame me for any commentator's curse this time. Right now, Kurt leading by 2.5 seconds from Rich Dial. Rich, very dominant, with an 18-second gap to Mr. Da Silva, the Panamanian driver, who now sits back on podium position after that incident with Kurt in the final corner. Battle was very epic to say the least, but did lead to a very dramatic next few laps. As Raven says, the drivers of the day, Jaden Harrison vote for number 1, as well as Mr. Massive. I would honestly throw Omar and Ian in that one too, because that battle between them was absolutely epic. As you see the back end of that Peugeot is twisting as he exits out of the pits. 3 seconds is the gap between himself and Omar. As he heads on now into the final corner. Heads on now to start-finish stretch. Jaden Harrison, for the 4th time in a row, comes around to win the Sebring Raceway in P1 for the LMH class. Huge congratulations. Omar Scorsia comes out in P2 as he crosses the finishing line. Omar, my apologies, Diego Cineros in P3. Already in the pits. Daniel Velez sits in P4. Huge shout outs to these drivers. This was absolutely epic to watch, if I do say. I think this is my favorite race of the season. Missed a few drivers here in Raven Plummer. Kurt Moss finishes off in P1 with Rich Dial in P2. We just ride along board with Kurt as he passes the start finish first. Still, it's never over until the fat lady sings, and the fat lady hasn't sung yet, so we'll continue to wait for the fat lady to sing as the fat lady prepares to get her voice ready to sing. As Mr. Massive now comes around the final corner. Absolute epic showcase here from the Jamaican. Made his debut in rally yesterday. Comes across the line to win for the GT3 class in P1. Rich Dial 1.4 seconds behind in his best showing here at the Jsra at one of the more challenging tracks, funny enough. Sits in P2. Vincent Da Silva still has some work to do to come around, as well as Joel Santamara, but looks good and dominant. Well, let me not say that, because Joel is about 9/10 off. But what a battle that has been.
Yeah. I guess it worked out because you guys were fighting, but yeah, especially when you locked up, I knew if I could push you in the brake and you had no tires to brake as late.
Ladies and gentlemen, a little
good
bit from
race.
the cool down room.
Yeah, you too.
Well, absolutely epic race here this evening. Looking forward to more. As we close out, well, we do have Interlagos coming up. And the Endurance Series is being prepared for. Very much so looking forward to seeing what we can do here with the LMU Series. But with this talent and more drivers still coming in, we still have quite a few drivers interested in joining. So we look forward to seeing what can come in the next few weeks. But ladies and gentlemen, please, I've been your host, Mr. Stewart, Stephen Stewart. Jaden Harrison wins from Omar Scorsia. Diego Cineros in P3. Daniel Velez in P4 for the LMDH. The DNFs was Ian Lance, Carol Eiton, Ricardo Swaby. Oh, sorry, yes. And that was for the LMDH. For the hypercars, Kurt Moss wins in the GT3 class from Rich Dial, from Vincent Da Silva, from Joe Santamara, from Sebastian Rodriguez, Ricardo Swaby, and Matthew Titus being the 2 GT3 DNFs for this evening. It's been an absolute epic showcase here, to say the least. I've enjoyed every moment of it, and I look forward to seeing you back here again for the next round next Saturday. Enjoy your evening. Thank you for joining with us, and have a wonderful day.